Space. Deep, dark, and unforgiving. A fitting hell for a series rich with gory deaths and vicious beasts. Yes, Dead Space has been a series that has thrived upon the dank, shadowy confines of zero gravity. But with a much-hyped relocation to the frosty wastes of Tau Volantis, can threequel Dead Space 3 still turn the screw in the bright white snow? From what we've seen, it sure as hell can. And here's why. Snow. Vast, bright, and, well, still unforgiving. Dead Space 3's Winter Wasteland might switch up the scenery, but it sure isn't holding up on the scares. The nightmarish necromorphs are back, and in the light, they're even worse to behold. And with nary a shadow for them to jump out of, Visceral Games have had to be extremely creative in judging their scares. Cue low visibility. With the harsh, frosty vistas hemmed in by bitter snowstorms, Isaac's visibility is cut in half. Not only does this prompt the same cautious approach to exploration, but it'll be the main reason why you'll be playing this from behind the sofa, especially when this happens. Sorry, cheap scare. For the most part, it's a confident relocation for the series, and one that will surely shake up the formula. And while claustrophobia will still be the deciding factor in defining Dead Space's horror, the series is clearly striving for new ground. But for fans of the series, the most horrific addition isn't the wintry landscapes. Oh no, it's the all-new drop-in, drop-out co-op support. While their cries of horror may be a little premature, it is a striking departure for a series that has, to this point at least, been defined by solo survival. So, without further ado, let us introduce Sergeant John Carver, your new co-op buddy. Okay, so we've been promised a unique take on co-op play, but we can't help but recall the irritating team antics of Resident Evil 5's Sheva Aloma. And the signs here, admittedly, don't look too good. But with Visceral Games quick to defend their gameplay choice, we'll reserve judgment for now. Besides, the co-op does come loaded with some interesting new ideas. With additional story elements and gameplay mechanics, it at least gives Dead Space 3 a greater sense of replayability. Where our fears might more efficiently be directed is at Dead Space 3's suspicious dovetail into Gears of War territory. Again, it may be too early to determine where Visceral are headed with this refocus on third-person cover shooting, but it does look distinctly un-Dead Space. Prompting a backlash of complaints at E3, Visceral's choice to make the Dead Space IP more accessible has definitely put them on the back foot. And we have to admit that we share those E3 fears. This is a Dead Space that looks like it lacks the same bite as its predecessors. But saying that, the ability to pick up grenades with the Kinesis module is an extremely nice touch.
Back up! Get out of the way! Stay out of his path!
Yet, we're being unfair. The majority of the gameplay demo we saw all felt very Dead Space, despite the changes. The tense exploration, the claustrophobic corridors, the epic boss battles. It's all still very much there, and it still kicks up a big, epic, in-your-face storm. And besides, the main reason behind the backlash is because we're still, by and large, being kept in the dark. For starters, co-op is entirely optional. You can play through the entire game solo or share the experience with a friend at any point. Simply put, if you don't like the sound of Dead Space co-op, it as good as doesn't exist. And that cover system has been broken down as well. Implemented as a context-sensitive system, or as Visceral put it, organic, you'll only hug the scenery if you're next to it. So, Dead Space 3 has certainly kicked up a fuss in the time since its reveal, and while the reception has certainly been frosty for this threequel, this is still undeniably a brutal, bloody Dead Space title. With a confident relocation, a potentially clever co-op system, and the return of the necromorphs, Dead Space 3 is back. And if that doesn't send a chill down your spine, we don't know what will.